60, 70, 80 years old? Walking less? Try these 6 life-changing habits instead. Have you noticed your body slowing down lately? Maybe getting out of bed in the morning feels harder than it used to, or a simple walk around the house leaves you feeling completely drained. That's exactly what happened to Nancy, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Ohio. She began hesitating at the top of the stairs, gripping the arm of a chair or the edge of a table just to stay balanced. What scared her most wasn't pain. It was the quiet fear of losing her independence. But everything changed when Nancy discovered 6 simple daily habits that helped her regain strength, energy, and confidence. No gym, no special equipment, just small, practical actions she could do right at home, backed by solid science. And today I want to share those habits with you, because if they worked for Nancy, there's a good chance they might help you reconnect with the strongest version of yourself too. Stick around until the end of this video, because habits 5 and 6 were the true turning points, the keys that made Nancy feel 10 years younger. If you find this video helpful, please drop a number 1 in the comments below. If not, feel free to comment 0 so we can do better next time. Now, let's begin. Nancy once told me that some mornings she'd wake up and it felt like her legs had forgotten they belonged to her. Stiff, heavy, unresponsive. She'd sit quietly on the edge of the bed, staring at the same feet that once carried her grandchildren through the park, now struggling to take even a few steps. It wasn't pain she felt. It was a quiet dread that her body was slowly slipping out of her control. Instead of waiting for the numbness to fade, Nancy decided to try something simple. Each morning, right after opening her eyes, she spent 5 gentle minutes warming up her body. No need to stand up. No fancy equipment, just lying in bed, raising her arms overhead, rotating her wrists and ankles, gently pulling her knees toward her chest, rolling her shoulders, and taking a long, deep breath. These small movements weren't flashy, but they worked like a soft wake-up call to every cell that had been resting through the night. Doctors at the Mayo Clinic have long emphasized that gentle morning movement is one of the best ways to activate the nervous system, improve circulation, and reduce the risk of dizziness or imbalance, something many older adults experience when they get up too fast. And after just 2 weeks of consistency, Nancy felt the difference. Her legs weren't as numb, her mind was clearer, and that heavy feeling each morning began to fade. Most importantly, she felt like she was taking back control, not just over her body, but over the pace of aging itself. I know many people think, what's the point of exercising at this age? But let me be honest with you. When we get older, morning movement is no longer optional. It becomes essential. It's how we stay active, stay strong, and live with confidence. If you've never tried it, start tomorrow morning. Just 5 minutes. That's all it takes. And you might be surprised how different your entire day feels. Lighter, more energized, and so much more worth living. After a few weeks of consistent morning stretches, Nancy noticed a real change. Her body woke up more gently, but something still didn't feel right. Despite moving every day, she found herself running out of energy by mid-afternoon. Her sleep was restless, her mind not as sharp as she had hoped. That's when she realized something crucial. Movement alone wasn't enough. Her body also needed to be nourished, properly, from the inside out. And so, her journey continued with the next essential step, recovery through nutrition. Of all the surprises Nancy encountered on her path to better health, none shocked her more than this one, her diet. She genuinely believed she was eating healthy. A glass of fresh orange juice every morning, a handful of grapes mid-morning, a banana or watermelon for dessert. It's fruit, she told me with a chuckle. Good for the heart, right? But then came a routine checkup. Her doctor gently placed a hand on her lab results and said, "Nancy, you might be eating the right things, in the wrong way." It turns out that the natural sugars in fruit, if not balanced, can cause dramatic blood sugar swings, leaving the body drained rather than recharged. Nancy's midday crashes, her drowsiness after lunch, the midnight wake-ups she thought were just part of aging, they were all tied to her healthy but misaligned eating habits. After that consultation, Nancy started making small but strategic adjustments. She swapped grapes and mangoes for apples, strawberries, and blueberries, all fruits with lower glycemic indexes. She cut back on fruit juices, choosing instead to eat whole fruits, preserving the fiber that helps regulate blood sugar. Lunch now included grilled salmon or hard-boiled eggs, paired with oatmeal, spinach, and a few almonds. In the early morning or before bed, she'd enjoy a small bowl of unsweetened Greek yogurt, providing light protein, aiding digestion, and supporting deeper sleep. According to research from the U.S. National Institutes of Health, NIH, older adults need about 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day to prevent muscle loss, a condition known as sarcopenia, which is one of the leading contributors to frailty and falls in aging adults. Without enough protein, the body gradually consumes its own muscle, silently, steadily, and dangerously. Nancy didn't become a nutritionist overnight, but she did begin to understand something powerful. Eating after 65 isn't just about staying alive. It's about living well, living strong, living with quality, and the results? Remarkable. She began sleeping better, waking up lighter, and even noticed her memory improving. Her body was finally being fueled the right way. No more energy crashes, no more night wakings, no more silent depletion. I know changing eating habits isn't easy, especially when you've spent decades believing certain foods were good for you. But sometimes, just a few small shifts, the right foods, in the right amounts, at the right times, can deliver results bigger than you ever expected. Are you eating just to survive, or are you eating to thrive? If you have a healthy go-to meal that you enjoy every day, share it in the comments below, because your small habit might just inspire someone who's starting their journey to better health. And if this video has been helpful, type the number 1 below. If it didn't quite meet your expectations, type 0. We're always listening, and we want to keep improving for you. Even after making smart changes to her diet, Nancy still felt like something was missing. Her body was getting stronger, her sleep was improving, but there were still days when her mind felt foggy, her focus scattered, and her afternoons drained of energy. Then one day, during a chat with a nutritionist at a senior wellness center in Boston, she was asked a question that seemed almost too simple. "Nancy, are you drinking enough water?" She paused, thought for a moment, and then slowly nodded. Probably not. And she was right. Like many older adults, maybe even you, Nancy rarely felt thirsty, so she didn't drink much throughout the day. But here's the thing. As we age, our thirst response dulls, even though our body's need for hydration stays exactly the same. This disconnect quietly leads to chronic dehydration, without us even realizing it. In Nancy's case, her habit of drinking only 1 or 2 glasses of water per day was causing dry mouth, mild constipation, dull headaches, and even occasional heart palpitations with no clear cause. All of these seemingly unrelated symptoms were actually early signs of long-term, low-grade dehydration. Left unchecked, this can impair memory, increase the risk of falls due to poor balance, and even trigger urinary tract infections, common issues among older adults. According to a report from Harvard Health Publishing, just a 2% drop in hydration can affect your focus and short-term memory. Water is not just about quenching thirst. It's vital for every cell in your body. It delivers oxygen, flushes out toxins, and calms the silent inflammation that often causes fatigue and joint pain as we age. After that eye-opening conversation, Nancy made hydration a priority. She carried a small glass water bottle with her throughout the day. Instead of waiting until she felt thirsty, she set gentle reminders every 2 hours to take a sip of warm water. On days she didn't feel like drinking plain water, she switched it up with unsweetened coconut water, herbal teas, or warm water infused with lemon and ginger. Over time, the changes were obvious. Her skin felt softer, her mind became noticeably sharper, and the nagging headaches that used to sneak up on her, gone. I always remind my patients, hydration isn't about quenching thirst, it's your body's fuel. Without enough water, every effort, eating well, moving more, sleeping better, loses half its power. Sadly, most people only realize this after they've been dehydrated far too long. So let me ask you, are you drinking enough water each day? If you're not sure, try counting your glasses today. Sometimes, something as simple as drinking more water, regularly and mindfully, can be the quiet key that unlocks powerful healing. Once Nancy had gained control over her diet and started staying properly hydrated, her overall health noticeably improved, but there was still something that troubled her, those restless nights. She often tossed and turned until 2 or 3 a.m., falling asleep in short, fragmented stretches. Mornings felt like a bog, her mind sluggish, her energy drained, as if she hadn't truly rested at all. At first, Nancy shrugged it off. This is just part of getting older, she thought. If I get a few hours, that's already a blessing. But everything changed after she attended a community wellness talk at a senior center in Portland. That's when she learned something that completely shifted her perspective. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair, especially for the brain and the immune system. According to the National Sleep Foundation, adults over 65 need 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. And not just enough sleep, but consistent sleep at the same time each night. When you regularly stay up too late or catch up on sleep at odd hours, your biological rhythm gets disrupted. Over time, poor sleep can raise the risk of memory loss, mild depression, high blood pressure, and even slow the body's natural healing process. So Nancy made a decision. She created a sleep schedule that actually stuck. Every evening at 9:30, she turned off the living room lights, shut down the TV, and put her phone away. She picked up a physical book, played soft piano music in the background, or sipped a warm cup of chamomile tea. Night after night, the same peaceful ritual. Within just 1 week, she began falling asleep faster, waking up fewer times in the night, and rising each morning feeling as if someone had recharged her from the inside out. I know many of you watching this right now are also struggling with sleep. And if Nancy's story resonates with you, even just a little, I encourage you to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to this channel so you won't miss more honest, helpful stories like this one. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment below with the word sleep, or tell us about your nighttime routine. I would love to read and reply to each one. Because sometimes, all it takes is one story, one small reflection like Nancy's, to spark a life-changing shift in someone else's journey. Nancy once told me, "It's not like I'm lazy. I still walk around the house a few minutes every day." But when she was asked to track her activity for a week, the results startled her. On average, she was sitting more than 9 hours each day, eating breakfast, watching TV, reading, riding in the car. All of those quiet moments added up to something no one had warned her about. Her chair was slowly trapping her body in place, and she didn't even realize it. Doctors have a name for this: sedentary lifestyle. The World Health Organization lists it as one of the top 4 global risk factors for death. That sounds dramatic, but the truth is sobering. Sit for more than 1 to 2 hours without standing up, and your blood flow slows, your metabolism drops, and your risk of developing blood clots rises. A study from Columbia University's Aging Research Center found that older adults who sit for over 8 hours a day are 2.5 times more likely to lose mobility compared to those who get up and move, even if only briefly. Sitting too long weakens the muscles in your hips and thighs, leads to brittle bones, and worst of all, compromises balance. And when you're over 70, balance isn't just comfort, it's your safety. It's the difference between staying independent and a dangerous fall. After realizing the hidden risks of too much sitting, Nancy didn't try to exercise more, she simply stood up more often. She set a gentle timer to go off every 45 minutes as a reminder to rise, stretch, and take a few steps around the room. When chatting on the phone, she walked as she talked. While waiting for the kettle to boil or the oven to preheat, she'd do a few march-in-place steps. Even while folding towels or wiping down the kitchen counter, she took the opportunity to bend her knees slightly or rise up on her toes a few times, activating her thighs and calves in small, meaningful ways. And the results? Remarkable. After just 3 weeks, Nancy felt it in her stride. Steadier steps, no more wobbles when standing up suddenly. Her sleep improved too, thanks to the boost in melatonin triggered by gentle, regular movement. She even noticed fewer joint aches at the end of the day, something she once believed was just an unavoidable part of getting older. I often tell my patients this: lack of movement doesn't just make you weak, it takes away your control over your own body. But trust me, just standing up for a few minutes every hour consistently can reignite muscles that have been asleep and awaken a renewed sense of vitality in your life. Are you sitting right now as you watch this video? Why not take a moment, stand up, stretch gently, roll your shoulders a few times, and then come back and continue this journey with me. Your body will thank you for it. Nancy once believed that at 74, there wasn't much left that was new for her. She wasn't bitter, but deep down, a quiet thought often surfaced: I'm too old to change. Then one afternoon, while reading at her local library in Oregon, she stumbled across a small line printed at the very end of a little book on aging well. It read, "You are not too old. You're just early in your next chapter." That single sentence lit a spark inside Nancy, a long-forgotten belief in her own power to begin again. From that day forward, she started a seemingly small but profoundly powerful habit, writing down 3 short sentences every morning, no fancy word. Not for anyone else to read, just for herself, a way to quietly remind her heart and mind that each new day is a fresh opportunity to live with purpose. Her 3 lines were, "What am I grateful for today? What new thing will I try today, even if it's small? What will I not let my age hold me back from?" Just a few minutes each morning, yet those lines helped Nancy reshape the way she approached life. Instead of starting the day with fatigue or worry, she began it with clarity, gratitude, and a renewed belief that age isn't a finish line. It's simply a point of transformation. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a renowned neuroscientist at Harvard University, once said, "A positive mindset can reduce inflammation in the body, boost immune function, and even extend average lifespan by up to 7 years." What does that mean? It means that the moment you change how you think, you start changing how you live. For Nancy, the transformation didn't happen overnight, but it was real. She felt calmer when facing health challenges, fell asleep more easily once the quiet worries stopped occupying her mind. She smiled more. She started inviting friends for walks in the park. She even picked up watercolor painting, despite never having held a brush before. And the most surprising part, her body responded to her spirit. She felt less fatigue. Her blood pressure came under control. Her routine checkups began showing improved numbers across the board. I always tell my patients, you can change your diet. You can change your sleep. You can change how you move. But if you don't change how you think, none of it will last. And the best part, you can begin at any time, even today. So let me ask you, if you could write down one thing you're grateful for today, what would it be? Please share it in the comments. I read every word. Who knows? Your message might become the spark of hope for someone else who's trying to find their way back to wellness. Together, you and I have just walked through 6 simple yet powerful habits, from gentle morning stretches and smarter nutrition to proper hydration, deeper sleep, light movement, and finally, a mindset shift that anchors it all. I know it's not always easy to make new changes, especially when we spent most of our lives in familiar rhythms. There will be days when you feel tired, when the motivation slips, or you wonder, isn't it too late for me to start now? But look at Nancy. She didn't have a miracle. What she had was a quiet belief that she could still change. And it was that belief, plus a few small, consistent steps, that brought her back to a life she could call her own. I understand. You felt exhausted. You've paused on the stairs, breathless. You've sighed, seeing your legs don't move like they once did. But you are not alone. And more importantly, you can change that. You can start today. If Nancy's story has shown you anything, let it be this. It's never too late to take care of yourself. Your body is still waiting to heal. Your heart can still beat stronger. And every morning, you still have the chance to do one small thing better than yesterday. So if there's one message I want you to carry with you after this video, it's this. Choose one small habit and begin. Just one thing. Drink an extra glass of water. Get up and stretch once every hour. Write down one thing that makes you feel grateful. These little things, when repeated, hold more power than you can imagine. They'll guide you back to yourself, to a version of you that is stronger, more vibrant, and more free. And I believe you can do it. Not to become someone else, but to come back home to who you really are. A healthier, lighter, and more joyful you. If you're feeling inspired, drop a comment below and tell me, which habit will you start with? Share this video with someone you love. Like it, subscribe to our channel, Golden Wise Elders. And don't forget to tap the bell so we can meet here again every week, learning, growing, and walking this path together. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being brave enough to take those first steps toward becoming your best self again. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue this journey of living well, aging beautifully, and embracing every moment with meaning.